Hello and welcome to this talk from me, Kim Biddulph. I am the Public Programmes Projects Manager at the City of London Police Museum. You can see the front of our museum in that picture there, and I am joined by my colleague Claire Smith, who is the Historic Collection Curator at the Metropolitan Police Heritage Service, as you can see there. And we wanted to have a chat today about our two organisations and how they're different, what we do, what we don't do, and how you can get in touch with us. Hello, Claire. How are you?
Hi, Kim. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yes, I'm very good. It's always lovely to chat to you.
Oh, thank you. You too.
One of the things that is often quite confusing to people, isn't it, is that there are two police forces in London and nobody really knows about the City of London Police Force, I think. Very few people anyway. Maybe I should show a little map showing the division between our two police services.
Yes. So as you say, London has two police services. The Met is slightly senior in age, but the city is divided, and City of London obviously has a smaller area, but a fascinating area because you are looking after the city itself.
Yes, I would dispute that the Metropolitan Police is older because, you know, the precursor to the City of London Police goes back to medieval times, as I've talked about in another video with our volunteers, and we may talk a bit more about. But yes, the official date for the creation of the City of London Police is 1839, which is 10 years after the Metropolitan Police.
Yeah. So Kim and I won't fall out over who's. But yeah, so according to recent-ish police history, so it's 1829 for the Met and 10 years later for City. And I, of course, feel obliged to say at this point that the River Police actually started in 1798, or my friend and colleague Rob Jeffries, who looks after our Thames River Museum, will come and get me. So I always have to feel that I need to remind
they are, yes, slightly older than both services, aren't they? Yes, yeah. So yeah, and as Claire said, the City of London Police just looks after that very small area in black there in the middle on the River Thames, and it's been blown up to show you. They also look after two of the bridges, obviously, as you can see. But the rest of that area that's outlined is the Metropolitan Police Service area. So there's a huge difference between the geography that both services look after, and the City of London. But the City of London Police has always been separate and still remains separate because the city itself has its ancient traditions, and also it is a bit different from many of the other areas of the Metropolitan Police area.
Definitely, I think we've talked before that the city obviously has a really high population during a normal working day and then is much reduced at night, whereas I think for the rest of London that the Met Police is, most people are in the centre during the day and then go back out to suburbs and boroughs at night. So it's a fascinating sort of demographic challenge to police London, and it's certainly a complex system, but I think we've shown on many occasions the city and the Met work together really well, and there's some famous cases and recent cases as well. And being a police history geek, whenever I'm wandering around Spitalfields, I always spot the police cars with the city livery, and it's like, oh yeah, that's one of theirs, that's one of ours.
Yes, yeah, because the city police stand out for having red and white livery instead of blue and white, which are the colours of the City of London itself. The City of London Police is also the national lead on fraud because, of course, where we're situated amongst all of the banks and financial institutions in the city, and they work with a lot of other police forces on that, of course. So that's why the two separate places exist. The City of London Police Museum it will hopefully reopen at some point in 2021, and you should be able to get to it here in the Guildhall. So if you don't know the City of London, Then the nearest tube stations are Moorgate or Barbican. St Paul's is very close, and Bank. Liverpool Street is a little bit further away, but not too far. All definitely walkable. And on this map, you can see that when we can reopen, when it's safe, you should be able to go in through A, which is just off Gresham Street. And then we are just next to the G there in Guildhall. So there is a physical museum. Now, it used to be, if you have a look on this map, on Wood Street. And there's a police station just here on Wood Street, and that used to house the City of London Police Museum, but it was moved over to Guildhall a few years ago, and is due to be there for a little bit longer. So that's all about us, basically. What about you, Claire?
So we're slightly different in that we have a heritage centre, but it's research for research visitors. We don't have a public display space. People have probably heard of the Crime Museum, formerly known as the Black Museum, which is based at Scotland Yard, but that's for training purposes only. It's not open to the public. So the Met Police Museum Service, myself and my 5 colleagues, we care for the collection. We collect constantly, so both historic and contemporary items, because as you find, Kim, when you work for something like a police museum, you are collecting every day because things are changing, uniform, equipment. So I'm constantly saying to people, oh, that's a really exciting new version of that. Can I have one, please? Because in 100 years' time, we're going to want to know what that looked like in its first incarnation. So it's a constantly evolving collection. And we're really here to tell the story of the Metropolitan Police in London. And I think sometimes people think police history is quite a niche interest. But I would argue that for City and for Met Police, it's the story of London. It's the story of everybody who lives and works here. And even if you think policing doesn't affect you or interest you, well, it affects things like sports, race relations, the history of gender, history of sexuality, everything that happens in the city that involves the police. It's our story. It's Londoners' story. So don't be put off. You don't have to be interested in the architecture of police stations. We do lots of other things too. And really, we just want to engage with people and tell them the stories of how policing has changed in London, the good and the bad. We know that it's not always been great, and we are quite honest about that. And what fascinates me is where police history can turn up in such unexpected places. So I was reading a biography of Radcliffe Hall, and they were talking about her trial for the Well of Loneliness in 1928, whether it is an obscene book. And the expert witness was a Metropolitan Police inspector. So they didn't want anybody from the world of literature or culture. He was considered the expert. And you don't think that policing has had an impact on the history of literature, but it did. He opened his testimony with the immortal lines, "I have a great deal of experience with obscene books," which possibly he should have rethought before announcing to the court. But yeah, and I find it fascinating that, the Met Police and the City of London Police can appear in every aspect of the social, cultural, financial history of London. Sorry, that's my kind of evangelical rant about why people should be interested in police history.
Yes, absolutely. We do have a lovely early Victorian truncheon on here, but it's not all truncheons and uniform and things like that, although those things are actually very interesting. But yes, as you say, there's lots of different aspects of police history that touch on all sorts of areas of society. So it's absolutely a very, very interesting area to look into, not just if you've got family who are in the police or were in the police. So in the City of London Police Museum, we are open in non-pandemic times for people to come and visit, and we have various things on display. So there is a little section in the bottom left you can see about policing before 1839 in the city, which was quite well organised for centuries. Then we look at some of the cases to do with that the City of London Police have been involved with. So at the top left, you can see this model here, which is a model that was created by George Bayliss, who is the police carpenter, for a trial at the Old Bailey. And it was to do with a case called Houndsditch. And Claire and I and Claire's colleague Paul Bickley of the Crime Museum have talked about Houndsditch and the subsequent event, which was the siege of Sydney Street, in some other videos. So see if you can find those. So we've got a few cases that the City of London Police were involved with on display. We've got other things to do with 20th century history, because of course the police were very involved with looking after people during the Blitz, in rescue, in documentation of the effects of the Blitz. This case in the bottom right does have quite a lot of items related to people, actually both in the First and Second World War, and their experiences. And yes, we do have uniform on display, and it's very interesting. We may do another video about the development of uniform, particularly women's uniform, perhaps, Claire?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I have to say, from a museum geek point of view, I'm very jealous of your uniform case. I think it's really interesting the way you have them all lined up. Do go and see it when the museum reopens. But yeah,
Yes,
uniform is really interesting because it changes differently for men and women in the police force. So you have, for the Met Police, very few changes in uniform design for men in nearly 200 years. Once they got their tunic and their helmet and the blue serge trousers, you're pretty much done. Whereas for women, in 100 years, there have been 7 or 8 changes. And this is really, really fascinating. And I'm sure Kim and I are going to talk about this in another episode. But it's interesting how, for women in the Met, certainly, it goes from being, how do we make them look quite stylish? I think they at one point there's a quote, elegance with authority. Yes. Then we kind of catch up with ourselves, and it's very much, okay, how do we keep our police women safe? How do they do their job safely? And now, certainly for the Met, and I'm sure for the city as well, there's virtually no difference between men and women's uniforms. It's there to be functional and protect you and let you do your job.
Yeah, absolutely. It really charts different attitudes to women in the workplace, doesn't it, over the 20th century, I think, looking at. So yes, it's really fascinating. One of the things, though, that we don't do is Claire mentioned about collecting, and we as an organisation, the Police Museum, don't collect. The collection is actually still owned by the City of London Police rather than by the City of London Corporation, and at the moment they're not collecting because where the collection is going to go is unknown at the moment. So there's that difference between us as well. But also, we don't hold the City of London Police Archive. The archive, which of course holds details of all of the officers who served in the City of London Police since 1839, and some that served before that as well as case files and things like that. They're all held by the London Metropolitan Archives. So if you want to explore your family history, if you suspect or know that one of your ancestors was in the City of London Police, then you need to go to the London Metropolitan Archives website. The easiest way to get there is to go to this website address here, which is https://search.lma.gov.uk, and then there's all the details there, and you'll be able to search for some information on that website. So that is a slight difference between us. We do get quite a lot of inquiries about family history, and at the moment all we can do is send you to the London Metropolitan Archives, so because that's where it all is. You get quite a lot of family history inquiries as well, don't you?
We do, and so some of because the Met used to be under the Home Office, archive does go to the National Archives, and certainly for criminal case files, if they can be released to the public, that is the place to go. But we do hold archives that reflect family history and genealogy inquiries. We probably average 15 to 20 a week, some of which are people who have pretty much done all the work and just need a few more bits from us. And sometimes it's just family rumour says great granddad was a police officer, can you help? And I think sometimes we've switched inquiries between, oh, it turns out he's city, or
yes, or he turns out it's
we
Met,
do,
or
yes,
sometimes River Police.
yes. But because we have divisional ledgers, police orders, central record of service, we can provide some information about family history and inquiries around the Met. We can't, unfortunately, give a lot of detail, so we can probably tell people joining and leaving dates, if promotions and transfers, and sometimes, sadly, punishments if there was some misbehaviour on the part of their great granddad, which we do try and do in the gentlest way possible. But we sadly can't give a lot of information about cases that they worked on or the beat that they walked. So we will try and send you on to other places, usually the British Newspaper Archive, but we certainly will give you a good head start about joining, leaving. If we know that a certain officer worked on a particular case, then we will always flag that up. So we do try and give as broad an answer as we can. And I have to say, this is mainly done by my colleague Edward, who can take the most minuscule piece of information and produce great information from it. But we usually ask, if you're going to contact us, full name and date of birth is our absolute, we've got to have that, because being a Smith, I can say this, but if you ask us for John Smith, who was a police officer in the 19th century in London, we're probably not going to be able to help. But if you're asking for John William Smith, who joined in 1895, we can probably start to work with that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, having said that, we usually pass on our inquiries to the LMA. We do have police historians. So my background is not in police history at all, but I've obviously over the last couple of years got very interested in it and have picked up certain things. But any inquiries that we get, I will check with our experts as well, who are great to have on hand to get back to you with information, because as well as inquiries about family history, we often just get general inquiries about what it was like to be a police officer at a particular date. Mainly the 1880s for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Sometimes the Edwardian period as well is really interesting to people. And this can be for people who are just generally interested. And I've had an inquiry for someone who was putting on a play. And so they wanted to have really accurate uniform, for instance. Also for people, film companies who are doing things, and people who are writing books as well, to get to know a little bit about how the beat worked and things like that. So yeah, we get some really interesting inquiries, and we try and help whenever we can. But there may be some other some other services like you, Claire. We sometimes ask for help, don't we? And the LMA, who will provide a bit more information.
Yeah, we do. As I say, Kim and I do share inquiries. So if we think that we can't help, we switch amongst ourselves. But yeah, we get the same with film crews, authors, people putting on plays. I've had somebody who was setting a quiz who wanted some questions about 19th century policing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think you quickly learn not to be surprised by inquiries if you're looking after a police museum, because it does get interesting. But I think probably, Kim, that we both have the main thing, which is we get a lot of inquiries around the Whitechapel murders. 1888 is one of our top ones, really.
Yes, it is. I don't suppose we get as many as you do, because a lot of people don't realise that one of the Whitechapel murders actually happened in the City of London, and so the City of London Police got involved with the investigation, and there was a little bit of friction between the two police forces on some of um, the direction of the investigation. Rubbing out of graffiti, for instance, and the offering of a reward for information, I believe, were two particular sore points. But yeah, we do get some inquiries about that, and we do have some information about it. But quite a lot of the case files seem to have been destroyed in the Blitz for the City of London Police. So again, like you said, Claire, a really good online archive that you can look at is the British Newspaper Archive, which has lots and lots of articles from all sorts of papers about the Whitechapel murders, and of course, basically anything in the last 200 years. So that's quite good, perhaps, when if police archives haven't quite survived as well. So sometimes I do research around those areas as well to find some information.
Yeah, British Newspaper Online is brilliant, especially if you know the date of the case that you're looking for and you think that you want to know the arresting officer's name. Usually they did reports, whoever was arrested by PC Smith. So it is always worth checking that. And I think, yeah, as you say, Kim, a lot of police history is starting in one place and then kind of making tangents to other collections, other archives. Just really looking across what is out there around the history of London as much as anything.
Yes, absolutely. So this is how you can get in contact with us if you have any inquiries. You'll find I've put first of all, for some reason now, our videos. So you'll find on YouTube the channel Visit the City has quite a lot of videos, talks, and things like that from us on there. So they have a playlist of the City of London Police Museum. So go and have a look if you want to find more. Our website is cityoflondon.gov.uk/police museum, and you can find our email address on there. And we are on Twitter and Facebook as well if you want to have a look for us. And you are just hopefully moving into a new place.
Fingers crossed. We've had a few delays. Obviously, last year was not the best year to try and move. So we are now hoping to move to our new location in Woolwich in the late spring and be open for research visitors, COVID allowing, in late summer. But we can't wait to see people again and to sort of go back and have the archive and the objects. Do give us a call, or email is probably at the moment, with not being in the office, is the best way of getting in touch with us. And if we can't help you, then we will either contact Kim or we will send you to somebody who can. But I would say most of our inquiries, we managed to come up with something for people. And if you have anything that you think you'd like to donate, we would love to hear from you too, because we're really keen to build the collection, especially areas that haven't been collected before in the same way. So history of women, LGBT officers, history of Black and Asian officers. We would love to grow that. So please do get in touch. And we're also on Twitter.
Yes, you are very active on Twitter. Brilliant. So thank you very much. This has been just a quick kind of jump through what we do, how we're different, and the different services that we offer to you. But do get in contact with us. We are, just like Claire, very keen to reopen again whenever we can, but we're not really sure when that will be. But we are still here at the end of an email, mainly because, again, we're not working in the office either, for your inquiries. So yeah, contact us and let us know if you've got anything that you need.
And the joy of having two police forces in London is you get two police museums.
Yes, exactly. And we should probably also say that there will be another one, won't there?
Yes.
And they're not quite open yet, but we might be able to do a video with them at some point, where the Bow Street Museum will be opening up at the old Bow Street Magistrates Court. So that will be really good as well.
You can never have too many police museums.
I think not. Yeah,
No.
I think as many as you want, really. So thank you very much, everyone, and do get in touch.
Thanks.